Thank you, Mr. Gomes. And that was our keynote on the top 5 cybersecurity resolutions for 2022. And we now move on to our next keynote address, which is by Mr. Dipesh Kaura, the General Manager at Kaspersky South Asia. And let me now invite Mr. Kaura on stage. And I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Kaura, for your keynote.
Okay, good day. Good day to all of you. Hi, my name is Dipesh. I am the General Manager at Kaspersky for South Asia. Thank you for taking the time to join us in discussing this very important topic on reinforcing the cybersecurity strategy. Uh, it is inevitable that things are changing daily and evolving rapidly at a rate that we may not be able to fully comprehend. This also holds true for cyber criminals. In fact, let's just say that the bad guys are hard at work, putting people and your companies at risks, and we need to stop them, and we need to stop them together. Today, we would like to share a tip or two on the best practices of how you can reinforce your cybersecurity strategy. I am not sure if the sites are moving. Something wrong. Okay, I have mentioned that things are changing daily and rapidly, and we have come a long way since this has all began. So let's talk about connectivity and how vastly connected we are in the digital world today. Uh, this evolution started in 1979 from 1G and still continues to technologies such as 5G, Wi-Fi 6, and we are still growing. In fact, the aim of wireless communication is to provide high quality, reliable communication, such
Kaura,
as, yeah.
could you give cue to Jatin after you're done? So, because he's handling the presentation.
So, how do I give the cue?
You can just tell us once you're done.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I will suggest to move to the next slide then. Okay. So, like I said, I mean, the evolution started in 79 and we started from 1G, goes on to 5G, and now even 6G, 6 Wi-Fi 6 for that matter. The aim of wireless communication is to provide high quality, reliable communication such as optical fiber. Each new generation of services represents a big step, and the leap is getting bigger every day. Cell phones received their first major upgrade when they went from 1G to 2G. And I did not add 1G to this slide because ideally 1G is analog technology, and the phones generally at that point in time had a poor quality of voice. The calls used to drop often. Not much security and absolutely no streaming was possible. So what changed when we moved from 1G to 2G? 2G was digital networks, and the key word here is digital. This is when data comes into play. When it came to 3G, it had multimedia support services, and capabilities were mainly around streaming. And this was the phase when streaming was becoming more and more popular. Moving from 3G, we went on to 4G, which is a very different technology if you compare it to 3G, as it could provide high speed, high quality, high capacity to users while improving the security, reducing the cost of voice, as well as the multimedia services. And at this point, we would all assume that, could we go any faster in terms of speed? Now, as you know, 5G is already under development, and that is intended to improve on what 4G has to offer. So 5G promises significantly fast data rates. It offers higher connection speeds, higher connection density, much lower latency among most of the other improvement that 5G offers over 4G. In fact, some of the plans in 5G include device-to-device communication, better battery life, improved overall wireless connectivity, and the maximum speed of 5G is approximately 35.4 Gbps, which is almost four times that of, or rather five times that of 4G, 35 times of 4G, sorry. So from 1G, we are moving to 1 Gbps transfer speed, we are moving to 35 Gbps of transfer speed. And in fact, when it comes to 5G, it's not mainly about speed. Here, it's more about latency. And latency is a major upgrade for gamers, doctors who are doing online surgeries, or rather remote surgeries these days. Uh, the future is of self-driving cars. Many other devices, or many other applications, many other real life use cases where technologies or the entire decision making is dependent upon the latency of a technology, where you would need to take split second decisions, uh, which is where the entire game of latency in terms of data speed transfers would come into picture. Latency accompanied with accuracy is what um, 5G can offer. So now, if you look at these faster technologies where internet connection would become embedded within our lives, we would have Internet of Things, we would have cars, uh, connected cars, mobile devices. In fact, being in a cybersecurity company for us means that we need to be there to ensure that our customers can enjoy these technologies safely. So today, if you look at it, how connected are we? The number of devices would definitely increase over the years. Several companies have already predicted that approximately 75 billion devices would be connected on the internet by the year 2025, and that's not far away. In fact, looking at futuristic technologies like Internet of Things, we would have devices such as maybe suits that are able to provide us accurate data of our health, or maybe we would have applications at our fingertips that could give us accurate health data. And now the situations, given the pandemic, health technologies are gaining momentum and are being pushed into rapid evolution, as per the given scenarios of the pandemic today. Uh, as for me, I think I'm quite optimistic. Maybe the future has flying cars. Uh, in fact, smart taxis or flying taxis are being developed and tested in countries like China, Japan, Germany, and I think it's only a matter of time where this would be a reality. GPS information, decisions for pathways of the cars, payment information, and many more would be the data that would be processed through the cloud. So, most importantly, all these devices will be connected, and there will be a massive flow of data through the internet. And all this data will be driven through the cloud, and all these devices will connect to each other through the cloud. But like I mentioned earlier, we now have 5G coming up. In fact, we also have Wi-Fi 6, which is already on its way, and the amount of upload and download speeds and the amount of data that we could upload and download with these technologies would be massive. Now, this data is something that needs protection, because this data will also be exploited by the cyber criminals. The amount of data that is being transferred among devices will only grow, and it will be more crucial for us to protect this data and to have a holistic approach towards cybersecurity, which is where we come to the aspect of, how do we reinforce the strategy again. So are we looking at cybersecurity strategies 2.0 or things like that? In fact, there is no hard and fast rule, and there is no instruction manual that you can follow that would magically provide you with a cybersecurity strategy. It involves a lot of hard work. It involves a lot of updating yourselves with the current changes of technologies that will happen in the cyber world. But nonetheless, there are a few things that you can do for yourself and your organizations to keep in pace uh, with this dynamic changes of cybersecurity, and reinforce your plan and strategy again. So the first thing I would suggest would be building a strategy, and a good cybersecurity strategy is a collective effort. It is not possible for an organization to do it alone. We would need access to a lot of information. We would require a lot of interactions with experts in the cybersecurity domain. We would need to bounce ideas with each others, complement one another, challenge each other's concepts and ideas. And that is how we see the growth in the cybersecurity domain. The positive thing here is that there is already a lot of increased awareness within the society and within the enterprises around cybersecurity, and I think that is a good start. Kaspersky has been approached, in fact, by many companies to consult on how to improve on their security, what are the aspects that need to be considered or reconsidered when they are considering their next stage of cybersecurity, and the kind of strategies that they need to follow to select the new age cybersecurity vendors as well. And it's been a very interactive uh, community discussions which we've had with customers and like-minded vendors as well, on how and what could be a possible framework that we could look at, which could at least create the first level of platform for organizations to move in this direction. Uh, there has been a lot of increased awareness in business sectors. So beyond BFSI, we've seen a lot of manufacturing organizations, ITES, and other small and medium enterprise organizations also taking this approach very seriously and constantly engaging in meaningful conversations, not only with us, but getting us as in Kaspersky as one of the cybersecurity solutions provider with the pool of security providers that these organizations want to work with, so as to ensure that there is seamlessness of integration, and the expected end result is what they have imagined to be would actually see the real light of the day. The second aspect I think that needs to be considered is around digital trust. When choosing a service provider or a cyber security service provider, if I can be more narrowed down in my conversation, one of the things to figure out is whether the methodology of the cyber service provider or the cyber technology provider is in line with your aspirations as an organization's moving forward for cybersecurity. Um, are your vendors or your cyber vendors in sync with the corresponding changes and developments of the cyber world, as well as the industry standards and best practices that can be followed? A better way to do it is the way we normally suggest, and when I have conversations with my customers or with my partners, usually I suggest three things. One is, whenever you're getting into these kind of scenarios and upgrades and movements of development, it's always good to engage with experts, engage professional entities who can help you do this in a more structured, in a more organized manner. Why experts? I think the answer is very simple. It is because I would say experts improve the efficiency. Let's use business as an example. We come across many such conversations where business owners believe that they have the capability to do everything, only to realize afterwards that possibly they don't. And that is the time they regret that they should have taken consulting, or maybe they could have taken the advisory earlier. Others, I think there have been many situations where I have personally realized that people are so reluctant to seek external help, and this is what they are missing as an opportunity. And I think it is quite alarming, but an expert can make a difference between a success and a failure of a project, of an organization, of a of a security roadmap. Second, second step that you should consider, according to me, is considering the complexity and the nature of your business. Check on the reputation of the service provider, the partner, the technology provider, because trust is an important side of cybersecurity. Trust is also an important side of the discussion for the entire deal which is being structured. You need to consider a vendor whom you can trust, who will be able to provide you with the right consultations, right advisory on how to protect your data and your businesses as you take this journey of transformation. Finally, obviously, it is important that you look at the certification and the accreditation that these vendors or technology providers, like even for that matter, Kaspersky carries. Do they have internal processes which are being properly lined up? Do they have enough expenditure patterns where they invest back into their teams? Is there enough training and development that happens for the teams internally for these organizations? Do they have recognition from third parties like the IDCs, Gartners, Canalys's, AV tests, and there's a there's a there's a bunch of people who do third party verifications as well. And this would help you more taking an informed decision about the company or the partner that you wish to engage in. The whole idea is, uh, it actually doesn't matter who you choose. It's about how you choose, which will make a lot of difference, because then your expectations and your understandings with your service provider or your partner or your technology provider is in sync with the expectations that you wish to seek. uh, the other way of revisiting your cyber strategy is to possibly invite uh, people or experts from outside to test scenarios that are within your organization. Now, you could be a service provider, it could be a technology company, it could be a product manufacturing company for itself. So, if I give examples from my own organization, Kaspersky, we engage a lot in bug bounty programs. In fact, we've had this engagement with the most leading bug bounty platform provider, which is known as HackerOne. We've been engaging with them since I think now 2016, 2017, and in fact, over the last year and a half, we've managed to figure out, or rather, I would say, uncover about 20 bugs uh, inside the product itself, and that has helped us improve the kind of steps that we need to further strengthen our products. In fact, we've gone a step higher where we've increased the stake, or rather increased the rewards by a huge margin to encourage people to look at Kaspersky and try and figure out what is possibly that is happening, which can be improved, so that when we reach out to our customers, our products are much more solid, much more tested, much more protected, and can stand the dynamism that the cyber world has to offer today. Uh, the other trend which we are looking at today is the way cloud is moving. So I was just going through a recent report. IDC mentions that the cloud spending is forecasted about $1.3 trillion, which is by the year 2025, which again I think it's not very far away from now. So Kaspersky has gone ahead and acquired this organization called Brain4Net. Kaspersky aims to now completely get a new SASE offering to the market with a unified platform. So we will combine the best-in-class Kaspersky offerings, best-in-class technologies with Kaspersky, and collaborate and engage with Brain4Net's network and manage the orchestration and the control capabilities that Brain4Net offers. So, in particular, just to raise the curtains on this platform, the future SaaS or the SASE offering will eventually include a cloud access security broker, which is CASB, We would also be offering cloud security or cloud secure web gateway, uh, cloud workload protection platforms, cloud security posture management, zero trust network access, and other services which are completely moving into the cloud now. So this acquisition with Kaspersky is will help evolve its existing solutions as well into a full scale extended detection and response mechanism, the XDR term, which is widely being accepted in the market today. In fact, SASE brings very obvious benefits to the XDR offerings, and with XDR and SASE coming together, we would be able to collect the telemetry not only from the endpoints but also from the networks now, and we would be capable, or rather efficient, more efficient, to detect and stop attacks at the network level as well as the endpoint level and anywhere in between. So this will also add a flavor of simplification of orchestration that will happen between technologies by giving you a single dashboard window to look at the entire security landscape on a single glass pane. So these are things that we are trying from our side to bring to the end user and make cyber security as simple and as accessible as possible. And that's the way we are trying to restructure and reimagine this entire cybersecurity strategy going ahead in 2022. So that's from my side. That's pretty much what I had to share with you all. And thanks for sparing your time. Thanks for sparing your attention. Hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much.